Summary of Propaganda by Edward L. Bernays. Edward L. Bernays Propaganda, first published in 1928, is a seminal work that explores the mechanisms and implications of propaganda in modern society. Bernays, often referred to as the father of public relations, draws on his extensive experience in shaping public opinion to argue that propaganda is an essential and inevitable tool for managing the complexities of democratic societies. The book is both a manual for those seeking to influence public opinion and a philosophical reflection on the role of propaganda in shaping culture, politics, and commerce. The nature of propaganda. Bernays begins by defining propaganda as a deliberate and systematic effort to shape perceptions, manipulate cognitions, and direct behavior to achieve a response that furthers the desired intent of the propagandist. He argues that propaganda is not inherently good or evil. Rather, it is a neutral tool whose moral value depends on the intentions and methods of those who use it. In a world increasingly dominated by mass media and large-scale organizations, Bernays contends that propaganda is necessary to manage public opinion and ensure social cohesion. He challenges the traditional view of democracy, which assumes that individuals are fully rational and capable of making informed decisions. Instead, Bernays argues that the average person is influenced more by emotions, instincts, and unconscious desires than by logic or reason. In this context, propaganda becomes a means of guiding public opinion in ways that align with the interests of society as a whole, as interpreted by its leaders. The role of the Public Relations Council. A central theme of propaganda is the emergence of the Public Relations Council, a professional whose role is to advise organizations on how to shape public opinion. Bernays positions this figure as a key player in modern society, bridging the gap between the public and the institutions that seek to influence them. The Public Relations Council uses scientific methods, including psychology and sociology, to understand the public's desires and fears and to craft messages that resonate with them. Bernays emphasizes the importance of understanding group psychology. He argues that individuals are more easily influenced when they are part of a group, as their behavior is shaped by the norms and expectations of the collective. By tapping into these group dynamics, the propagandist can create campaigns that appeal to the public's subconscious motivations. The engineering of consent. One of Bernays' most influential concepts is the engineering of consent, which refers to the process of shaping public opinion to support specific policies, products, or ideas. He argues that in a democratic society, it is not enough for leaders to simply impose their will. They must also secure the consent of the governed. Propaganda, in this sense, becomes a tool for creating the illusion of consensus and ensuring that the public willingly accepts the decisions of its leaders. Bernays provides numerous examples of how propaganda can be used to engineer consent. For instance, he describes how public relations campaigns can be used to promote political candidates, sell consumer products, or mobilize support for social causes. In each case, the key is to frame the message in a way that aligns with the public's existing beliefs and desires, making it seem as though the desired outcome is in their best interest. Propaganda in politics. Bernays devotes significant attention to the role of propaganda in politics. He argues that political leaders must use propaganda to maintain their legitimacy and ensure the stability of the political system. In a democracy, where power is ostensibly derived from the consent of the governed, propaganda becomes a means of shaping that consent and ensuring that the public supports the policies of those in power. He also discusses the use of propaganda in political campaigns, emphasizing the importance of creating a compelling narrative that resonates with voters. Bernays suggests that successful political propaganda often relies on simplifying complex issues and presenting them in terms of clear moral dichotomies. By framing political debates in this way, propagandists can mobilize public support and marginalize opposing viewpoints. Propaganda in business. In addition to its political applications, Bernays highlights the importance of propaganda in the business world. He argues that modern capitalism depends on the ability of businesses to create demand for their products and services. Propaganda, in this context, becomes a tool for shaping consumer behavior and driving economic growth. Bernays provides numerous examples of how businesses can use propaganda to influence public opinion. For instance, he describes how public relations campaigns can be used to create a positive image for a company, promote new products, or counteract negative publicity. He also emphasizes the importance of understanding the psychological motivations of consumers, arguing that successful advertising appeals to their emotions and desires rather than their rational self-interest. Propaganda in social and cultural movements. Bernays also explores the role of propaganda in social and cultural movements. He argues that propaganda can be a powerful tool for promoting social change, as it allows activists to mobilize public support and challenge existing power structures. However, he also warns that propaganda can be used to reinforce the status quo and suppress dissent. He provides examples of how propaganda has been used to promote social causes such as public health, education, and women's rights. In each case, the key to success is to frame the issue in a way that resonates with the public's values and aspirations. Bernays also discusses the role of propaganda in shaping cultural norms and values, arguing that it plays a central role in defining what is considered acceptable or desirable in society. The ethics of propaganda. Throughout propaganda, Bernays grapples with the ethical implications of his work. While he acknowledges that propaganda can be used for nefarious purposes, he ultimately argues that it is a necessary and inevitable part of modern society. He contends that the real question is not whether propaganda should exist, but how it should be used and by whom. Bernays suggests that the ethical use of propaganda depends on the intentions of the propagandist and the transparency of their methods. He argues that propaganda should be used to promote the public good, and that propagandists have a responsibility to ensure that their campaigns are based on accurate information and ethical principles. However, he also acknowledges that the line between ethical and unethical propaganda can be difficult to define, and that the potential for abuse is always present. The future of propaganda. In the final chapters of Propaganda, Bernays reflects on the future of propaganda in an increasingly interconnected and media-saturated world. He predicts that the importance of propaganda will only grow as societies become more complex and the flow of information becomes more rapid and pervasive. He also warns that the rise of new technologies, such as radio and film, will create new opportunities for propaganda, as well as new challenges for those seeking to control it. Bernays concludes by reiterating his belief that propaganda is an essential tool for managing the complexities of modern society. He argues that the key to ensuring that propaganda is used ethically and effectively is to educate the public about its mechanisms and to hold propagandists accountable for their actions. In this way, he suggests propaganda can be harnessed as a force for good, rather than a tool for manipulation and control. Legacy and critique. Propaganda remains a controversial and influential work, both for its insights into the mechanisms of public opinion and for its ethical implications. Bernays' ideas have had a profound impact on the fields of public relations, advertising, and political communication, and his concept of engineering of consent continues to be studied and debated. Alright, I hope you found the video enjoyable. Don't forget to subscribe for more book summaries in the future.